Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano pazimunyusi update apo patinoda kupa first hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. Sekuziva kwamuri kuita zuwa nezuwa tiri kuuya nemaupdates zvimwe zvezvinhu zviri kuitika kuKariba apo patakaona musi wekutanga pakarikavwa mabhodhi akati wandei. Ndofunga tiri kuona dere chitu dere chitiri zvakamboita sort of like zvakuti derere, but nezuro tiri kunzwa kuti kwakarikavwa mabhodhi akawanda because tiri kuona kuti anga 44 mabhodhi anga arikavwa, but now nezuro pakarikavwa 30 something akakwana kuita 72 muri yeZimbabwe. So ndo mamirira zvakaita. So tiri kutora nhau idzi kubepa nhau reSky News vari kuti 26 more body nezuro kwakarikavwa 26 more body have been founded after a ferry collapsed capsized in Zimbabwe, taking the total number of deaths to at least 72 wakafa muri yeZimbabwe warikavwa pari zvino. Because tiri kuona kuti nezuro pakavanikwa vanhu vanokwana iwo kuita 26 ndo wakavanikwa same ndo zviri kubepa nhau repindula muri yeZimbabwe. So tiri kuona panapa inhau yechiko ndiana Washington Ncube vari kuita seko inhau dzana tripods. Ndofunga tiri kuona panapa ndo zvimwe zvezvinhu zviri kuitika imota dzeDoves dzemuri kuona apa dzakaita line apa izi. Divers recovered 3 more bodies marimwe zuro aya nezuro pakarikavwa. Ndofunga muri kuona zvanambotara zvezve kutoti papa kumborikavwa tuma small number nezuro pakazorikavwa 26 bodies. Ndofunga tiri kuona mamota dzenyaradzo idzi muri yeZimbabwe ndo zviri kuitika. Izvi tiri kuzviona kubepa nhau reSkyworth, tozotora futi kubepa nhau the sort of like pindula. So tikona vamunangagwa vakatuma vaDaniel Garwe kuti vange vachiudza vanhu kuti tira kurecover that ferry remuri kuona apa iri zibhoti ferry mbuya nehanda zibhoti iri rida kunge riri rinoreplacewa paiswe rimwe nyowani. So tiri kuona muri yeZimbabwe government why ichida kuita zvinhu zvekuti zvinhu zvaparara zvauraya vanhu ndopenda kureplace zvakafanira zvinezvi. Tiri kuona kuti government pane mapepa ari kuseculata mapictures Bechinoff Bridge riri kunzi rakreka, but Ministry of Transport and Local Government wati hakuna zvinhu zvakadaro, hatina mauya achakasiyana, havana kana kutombotuma munhu kuti anga achienda ikoko kunotarisa kuti zvakamira sei. Vari kuita zvokufungidzira zvezvezve. So tira kuti tione President Emmerson Mnangagwa vachinamatirwa kubvanzura kuHatfields kwamadzibaba Mhoze kwavakaendana naSewiki Nochivhayo. Tiri kuona ndiSewiki Nochivhayo achitaura on top of vaWingi D rekedze tiwanzwe vachimbotaura panapa.
Loyal to the opposition and one and now contact here Winky D. I've never communicated with him, and the last time I did say something good. No, he's loyal to the opposition and he seems to be very close to what's the opposition guy's name? The
Chamisa?
Yeah, Chamisa. Yes, Chamisa. I forget his name most of the time.
Danny, I'm gonna leave that hanging.
So I try to say, look, this is not about politics. It's about acknowledging you, your followers, and also trying to, upgrade you. Japanese. That's what I had. Look, I have said it, hinting, I can't. I can only say so much, and I don't want the embarrassment of right.
Muri yeZimbabwe tiri kuona Junior Sprague akaimbika ati ama 2000 vaya ari kufamba neBenz kwanzi Wingi D anofamba akangomuona ine ka Honda Shadow kakasvika nako Kariba chimwe kuti Wingi D anofamba. Wingi D mazi Honda Fit akasoimba kudhara pato decades akaimba Toyota Starlet twakafamba nato kudhara chimwe.
6 paragraphs saying, "Oh, Becky, go and collect your jelly." Then Becky wakes up. Then Becky wakes up tomorrow and says, "No, I don't want that." Just like the Zayoja.
Oh yeah.
Because I went to Zayoja some years back and I met Baba Guti. Baba Guti and did wait now. Problem. You're not putting money in the house of the Lord. whatever you get, put in the house of the Lord. Aufoka broka. Then wakandinamatira ndabva nditi chienda kubindura kune university yatiri kuvaka inonzi Zego.
Oh yeah.
Saka we need donations, we need bills. Saka chienda varatopiwa secretary general nevamwe 4 or 5 people delegate. Enda ikoko unoona, donate money to the church. Ukaisa mari kuchurch, upenyu hwako, your life will never be the same again. So you must donate money to the church. Saka ndaenda ikoko. Back then I was not as
heavy
as I was now. And I interacted with him so well. He was a wonderful man. I told him a picture. So after his demise, I see your widow and
let me do something.
Let me try and do something. Even the president said the same thing to Koshirikadzi. Yeah. But I'll see how I can, help. Let me give them 250,000 land cruiser. So that would be so good. She's a wonderful lady, and I've never met her, but I've met them on the plane Emirates.
And I'm just coming from there,
What did you say about him?
Listen.
What did you say about this?
No, he's not being arrogant. He's just, listen, he's...
Muri yeZimbabwe ndi President Emerson Mnangagwa vari kunamatirwa kusowe ramadzibaba moze kugwanzura kuHete Fields uko kwavakaenda nanase wikino chivhayo vatanzwa vachitaura kuti amai Guti nana Wingi D vari kuramba magifts from me. President Emerson Mnangagwa vakagara pasi. Vanhu vanodzokera chete kuzvechizvino bhozi tiri kuona kuti kunana madzibaba kwakutorohwa mamaikofoni, maspika, mangoma anonga ariko mhuri yeZimbabwe. Kunana Jekenisheni takaona, so tira kuti timboone miono yevanhu panapa. Vaudziwa nhema kuitira runyararo munyika ezi 2028 haasvike, ndo chokwadi changu amene. Tiri kuona miono yevanhu iyi. Tiri kuona panapa kunyorwa kunzi hapana chisikaperi. Hangasa ari kuti we need to normalize throwing bombs on these people. Pora kuti zvakaoma chi asi nhai kushaya zvekuita here chisikaperi chinoshura. Tiri kuona miono yevanhu iyi muri yeZimbabwe, vari kuona miono yavari kuona. So tine magweta vetira kusiyai muchinzwa pano. Genuine question, guys, why does the mayor of Harare go around with his chain? Handakati ndezvebasa iri chimwe chero shiri inozongofa. Tiri kuona panapa pakaipa kuita gadhi is hard. Mugabe did this his last days and ndo chokwadi muri yeZimbabwe. Tiri kuona vaMugabe vanganzi muchafira pachigaro muchatonga muri pavo chiyaka mazuva ake kupedzisira akatanga kutoita zvinhu izvozvo. So
which is weird, very weird. Maybe lack of understanding the legal setup. Proof of residence can be generated, can be fraudulent, but why not an affidavit from an authority, from the laws of the land? Because this is where we have a problem. Anybody can claim to be an elder, anybody can claim to be this and that, war veteran, which is problematic. And these are some of the things that we're advocating for, these civic societies that were mentioned above. I hope we fall in that category. There are many, but I think there's need for a national consensus and a real push for implementation to take place. Vehicle registration in your name, yeah, there's fraud in that again, because you are now having to say, mbuya wangu wane 71 years, register motor yangu. But I think there should be scrutiny. I don't know, maybe there is. Just like returnees, when you are returning back to Zim, there's scrutiny to find out if you've been legally working, do you have a permit and all that. It's not everybody who maybe resides in Zimbabwe and then they have their passport outside, they jump the border and they come back and say, look, I'm enjoying the returnees rebate. I'm saying this in the backdrop of a shared understanding that does Ambuya Sekuru really own this vehicle? And when was it bought? If it was bought by Wazukuru, well and good, but that must be supported by an affidavit. I'm actually in the process trying to put my recommendations and my proposals in the same line. While we have policies in place, the left does not know what the right hand is doing many a times, which is the probably reason why we are not moving an inch as an economy, as a people. Maybe we are moving, but we are not moving to the tune, in my view. On the vehicle license exemption, Zinara is an exemption policy for vehicles, but senior citizens groups have complained. That's us, Zim culture included there. It's now very burdensome. Former senior Mason Harlow called, I quote, it a cruel and extortionist because it requires garage reports, police reports, etc., which is problematic. Do we have respect for these people? Underline, underscore, respect. Do we have respect? Are we doing out of good heart, or we are doing it for political reasons, or we are doing it for convenience? There is disrespect there. Are we really doing it? We understand why we are protecting these people. It's more like a first stage good send-off before they die, in my view. Enjoying, helping them in whatever area, celebrating their lives while they can. As alluded to, I caught when you talk about Munya, I think it fits in well. These people must look back and celebrate life to the fullest. Remember, making them remember their good old days, which is something that I'll speak about some other time. On a good day, bridging the gap between the older generation, the younger. It's very important. It's critically important. It's lacking all the way up to United Nations. The Gentlemen's Club. They're not looking at bridging the gap. There is separation, but there's so much talk of integration, so much talk of inclusiveness. How can we do that without tapping the wisdom and appreciating these people that are around us? So there is an exemption mechanism I'm reading now, but it's not an automatic waiver just for being an elder. So general transport, the government has started commitment to provide older persons with the universal access to transport, but there isn't a blanket national act that says all elders ride free. You heard me well, and please listen to me good. It is very important. And in the same line, question arising. What about Ambuya na Sekuru asina ngoro, asina moto, asina bus? Why is it more focused on those who can drive? Exemptions. Why is it? I don't want to go deep into that because it's got mixed feelings there. That issue, it's a very contentious issue. Older Persons Act number 1 of 2012, chapter 1711, sets the Older Persons Board prohibits age discrimination, which happens again in these spaces, in these social dimensions, social platforms. At church, now the young people are leading in church. There's a significant, drop of elder persons, but one can say, well, church is voluntary, but you must question why. Because they are not for that. Their absence in participating in social or contributing socially, which comes with attacks again from others when they listen to us. And I'm saying it clearly, us, we who speak bitterly, They even pointed them kuti vada kufane information, but we failed to realize that we have a role to play. We need to attract them, give them space, integrate them, respect them, because without respect, it's an automatic disqualification. They do not appear, they don't come. And I believe some people here, they come with their elders, but they cannot contribute. Vanototi aivo nditukwe zvangu, because they are scared, some they are traumatized, and they could share a lot and unlock these problems that we are going through as a nation. Income tax persons 55 plus. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that about income tax, which again just reminds me that if my memory serves me right, the retirement age is 55, but there is also an age limit. That's NASA. You start benefiting at 60. So there's that 5-year gap, which I'm not qualified to explain, but it puzzles me. It just doesn't make sense. The two, I think there should be synchrony in your retirement to contribute. And the 5-year, if you are still working up to 60 years, or is it maybe expected that at 55 you should drop the ball? I don't know. But I think what is factual is NASA gives life benefits to the livings. In terms of pension, you start earning or benefiting at the age of 60. Bottom line, as I learned, we have laws that recognize elders' rights and health, all that, non-discrimination, and some specific exemptions like Harare, parking for 70 plus, but there is no single act that says all elders, all, I underline, all elders, never pay for health and transport. Implementation and resources are the big gap, as alluded to earlier. Elders are fighting about this. Now, I spoke about Guzuzu. My returns visiting the authorities, particularly between 2010 and 12, 15, 16, thereabout. One of the days with my elders, very respectful people who contribute, at national level as analysts and advisors. One of them, I will not mention the name here. We were at ZANU-PF, one of my routines, where I spoke vividly about culture, and as the person on the center of the organization, the questions were fired on me, good questions by the politburo member Mai Matutu, may her soul rest in peace. But point I want to make is various engagements have put me into light, and I've gained so much interest, and there's a lot to be done. So at one time I bumped into the office that collaborates those who perished, the people who are still looking for their loved ones who disappeared in the struggle. There's an office which I think it needs to be demanded. That office must leave ZANU-PF. It must be a national office, because you don't expect somebody to just go to ZANU-PF. Some of us is by default. I'm not a member of ZANU-PF, but you can imagine that office helps people to identify and trace people that have disappeared. How many people know about it? And if the government is to talk about it, where is it inviting people to come? Where is the port of call? To go to ZANU-PF, then it becomes political. I met my Babuzuzu, Tatara Chikaranga. My Babuzuzu, if you check, this is one of the 7 guerrillas that perished in Chinoi, which raised a lot of questions which nobody has answered me on that. Kuti who benefits if you died? Because the mother was standing for the dead and not maybe buried. I'm not sure whether Buzuzu was buried. I'm not too sure. Vaine mwana wavo musikana muvana achiti mai vari kunetsa, ndofa here mwana wangu pasina chaawana, because when he's looking around, others, not necessarily in the 7 named, that have had families, vana vavo vazukuru, they've been awarded. And get me right. It's a calling. You don't go to war to be awarded, but
Hold on, just for a small housekeeping. Yeah, if anyone wants to come in, you can raise your hands. I think Mercy forgot to put the hand down, so you may not worry about Mercy's hand. But when she wakes up, obviously, she'll be able to come into the space. But anyone else who would want to make a contribution, show by raising your hands. Mr. Signoro, put your eyes on your phone. If you see someone raising their hand, just give them space. But meanwhile, you will have to make your presentation without any disturbance until somebody
noted
comes.
mukoma wangu.
Thank you.
Ende regerero kana tapabasa hatina mukoma is a subject that because the be my timekeeper 1.5 on the dot. I must learn as I promised the people of Zimbabwe. Good people listening, thank you for good listening. So thank you so much. It's sad that ndakavaona ini mai vabuzuzu vamutsvangwa vakafonerwa. He was the minister of war veterans then. Kutoita sei mai vanhingi vari pano mai vabuzuzu vanongotiwo vanofonerwa vombodaidzwa kumusangano hapana chinobuda, which is sad. Why do we torment old people? Hamugariki munyika mezimbabwe umu kana tichiita zvatinoziva tichiita kuti tikashungurudza vanhu ava vachifa vachigunun'una hazvinaki. Handiti hamudi kutaura nezve the dead. These people that have worked hard, they've a role to play, and they are not supposed to have any grievances. We should satisfy anything, everything. We should sniff around and check kuti vari kufara here. So the only thing that as I learned, she thanked for her visit to Harare. Vaibva kuRungwe vakandifonera nefoni yemukwashawo, that was 2012 ndichiri kuZimbabwe, kuti chinhu chandangowana mapiritsi, because I took her on my own vehicle ndikavatengera sadza ndikavaendesa kuPari ndikanodhimanda zvamanzwa ndichitaura paya. Ongu ndakatariswa kubva kutsoka kusvika kuvhudzi kuti munzwisise kuti we have to demand. Ndikati havabhadhari ndora ndakangotaura, and I would like to be honest, there were no questions but kungotariswa chete kuti ndianiko uyu. So we cannot have a rule of law yakadaro yekutanga tavhundutsirana ikuita kunge mutemo usipo uripo. It's very sad. I don't know kana vakazotarisirwa welfare yavo vakabatsirwa, but this goes over and above. We have to look after these elders. It should not just be a terminology to say retired persons. It's a case to look down upon these people, particularly those who liberated, who sacrificed their lives to liberate a nation. Whether ndichimbwido ada akabata gidi, and we're still chinorwadza kushanda makore mazhinji. I think legal representation yataurwa, if baba vako sekuru vako vai contribute nguva